Welcome to the Line Life podcast. I'm Jeff Postlethwaite for T&D World, and today we're bringing you more stories of the grit, courage, and inspirational teamwork that it takes to be a line worker.
Thank you for tuning in to the T&D World Line Life podcast, produced by Endeavor Business Media, a division of Endeavor B2B. My name is Amy Fischbach, and I'm the head of content for T&D World and also the host of the Line Life podcast. Before I dive into today's episode, I invite you to become part of our Line Life podcast community by searching for the Line Life podcast in your favorite podcasting app or going to linelife.podbean.com and clicking follow in the top right. We air interview-style episodes on the first and third Fridays of each month, and also audio stories in our In Case You Missed It series featuring articles that appeared in our print magazine on the second and fourth Fridays of each month. If you have a comment on this episode or a suggestion for a future guest, please reach out to me. You can email me at amyfischbach@gmail.com or reach out to me on LinkedIn or on Instagram at Lyman World. I'd love to hear from you. Now let's move on to today's episode. Welcome back to the Line Life podcast. Today we're featuring the fourth and final article in the September 2025 Lineworker Supplement. Every year I try to include an article on storm response, and 2025 was no exception. Lineworkers often work around the clock in severe weather conditions to get the power flowing and the lights back on to their communities. And this feature article pays tribute to those line crews who spent time away from their families to help rebuild their communities following some severe storms in their service territories. This article was written and is narrated by me, Amy Fischbach. Extreme storms. As severe weather ramps up in intensity and frequency, line crews are ready to restore power and rebuild communities. Over the last year, severe storms have swallowed up poles, ripped down transmission towers, and left customers in the dark. As heroes and first responders, lineworkers have swiftly arrived on the scene to restore power and rebuild communities decimated by floods, hurricanes, microbursts, bomb cyclones, and ice storms. Electric utilities often prepare for storms year-round, and before the first raindrop falls or high winds knock down a power line, they have crews in position to handle whatever comes their way. As the frequency and intensity of severe weather continues to escalate, line crews are ready to respond. Here are the stories of some of the countless storms that impacted utility service territories over the past year. From a bomb cyclone in Puget Sound Energy in November 2024 to Consumer Energy's ice storm in April 2025, and tornadoes in Ameren, Illinois and Missouri's service territory a month later. Twister spins through Missouri and Illinois. The sky over Ameren's service territory suddenly turned green on the afternoon of May 16, 2025, alerting both the utility's customers and line crews to impending tornadoes. Before the twisters even touched the ground, the teams prepared to mobilize crews and resources to respond swiftly to the wrath of the storm. In St. Louis, the EF3 tornado had recorded maximum wind speeds of 152 miles per hour. The tornado traveled nearly 23 miles, spinning over the Mississippi River to Granite City, Illinois, before dissipating in Edwardsville, Illinois. Another tornado, classified as EF4, had maximum recorded wind speeds of 190 miles per hour and traveled for about 17 miles in Marion, Illinois. The tornadoes not only caused destruction, but they also led to widespread outages to an estimated 216,500 customers in Missouri and 75,000 in Illinois. Following the storms, Ameren teams assessed damage, began restoring power, and alerted customers, media, and community organizations and government officials of the status of restoration. Ameren crews partnered with contractors and mutual assistance teams from across the Midwest to replace 1,000 poles decimated by the storm and support community recovery efforts. In Missouri alone, the storm took down 730 power poles, toppled mature trees, and collapsed structures. Ameren, Illinois crews and contractors restored power to communities before traveling across the state line to help Ameren, Missouri line workers reconnect customers. The severe weather damaged both the electric and natural gas system. Case in point, on the electric side, about 260 Ameren, Illinois sub-transmission and distribution poles were damaged or downed, and the utility experienced a significant amount of wire damage reports and damage to substations. Jamie Simmons, a supervisor for Ameren, Illinois, said Granite City, Illinois was hit the hardest by the tornado that touched down on May 16th. Crews worked well into the evening, and within 12 hours of the storm, 55% of customers had their power restored. It caused significant damage to the community and our electric grid, Simmons said. There was substantial tree damage, trees in the road, trees on houses, and trees on electrical equipment, making it extremely difficult for our crews to access the area to make repairs to our poles and lines. Amanda Brittingham, Senior Director of Metro Operations and Contractor Management for Ameren, Missouri, said one of the biggest challenges in the days after the storm was getting safe access to damaged infrastructure due to the large amount of debris. Overcoming this obstacle required close coordination with emergency responders and state-local partners, she said. And thanks to the efforts of our line workers and support from peer utilities and contractors across the country, we were able to restore 100,000 customers in the first 48 hours after the tornado struck. While the power has been restored to all homes safe for restoration, the community, particularly in North St. Louis, is still hurting from the tornado that ripped through homes, businesses, and institutions. To assist with recovery efforts from the storm and tornado that hit the St. Louis metropolitan region and surrounding areas, Ameren donated $1 million in recovery efforts. For example, Ameren is providing $750,000 to community organizations like the United Way of Greater St. Louis, the American Red Cross, the Salvation Army, the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis, and the City of St. Louis Tornado Response Fund to help with ongoing recovery efforts. The donations will fund relief efforts for critical services like relocation assistance, tree removal, property cleanup, emergency repairs, temporary housing, food, clothing, essential supplies, and transportation. In addition, Ameren will provide $250,000 in energy assistance report for income-eligible customers impacted by the storms in Missouri and Illinois. These devastating storms struck at the heart of our communities, impacting our customers, employees, neighbors, and friends, said Martin J. Lyons, Jr., Chairman, President, and Chief Executive Officer of Ameren. Seeing the damage firsthand is heartbreaking, but our crews are working tirelessly to rebuild what's been lost. This $1 million commitment is one more way we're standing shoulder to shoulder with the communities we serve as they begin the long road to recovery. Bomb cyclone tests emergency response. In what meteorologists called one of the most destructive storms to hit the Puget Sound region in 40 years, Puget Sound Energy, or PSE, mounted an epic response to restore power and ensure public safety during a bomb cyclone event on November 19, 2024. The storm left a path of destruction that resulted in more than 700,000 customers experiencing service interruptions, some more than once, in PSE's service area. PSE's meteorology team identified the approaching storm system nearly a week in advance, allowing the utility to implement emergency protocols and position resources where needed. The storm's intensity, which was very compact in high urban areas, was comparable to the historic 2006 Hanukkah Eve storm and prompted PSC to proactively open 4 local storm bases and its Emergency Coordination Center. The conditions our crews faced were extraordinary, said Ryan Murphy, PSC's Director of Electric Operations. In many areas, it was like working simultaneously at a logging site and a construction zone, with hundreds of fallen trees blocking access to damaged infrastructure. The utility mobilized more than 2,700 personnel, including 164 line crews and 70 tree crews to support restoration efforts. Despite challenging conditions that often doubled typical repair times, Crews worked systematically to restore power, prioritizing life safety issues and essential services such as hospitals and schools. The storm's impact extended beyond power outages. PSC's gas emergency response teams handled a 64% increase in daily emergency calls, with King County customers accounting for 57% of incidents. Teams responded to numerous broken pipelines caused by uprooted trees, carbon monoxide calls related to improper generator use, and gas odor reports. PSC's emergency response systems, including its backup operations center, proved effective during the storm. The greatest success of this historic and dangerous storm was that restoration was safely completed without a major injury to a community member or first responder, Murphy said. When communication issues affected the main facility, the utility's preparation and coordinated response helped ensure community safety and quick service restoration. This event provided valuable insights for future emergency response, with PSC already implementing enhanced training and system improvements based on lessons learned during this historic weather event. Infrastructure ices over in Michigan. Just a half an inch of ice on a line is equivalent to the weight of a baby grand piano, according to Consumers Energy, which experienced a severe ice storm in April 2025 with up to 1 inch of ice accumulation in many areas and 1.5 inches in Elmira, Michigan, a small town in the utility service territory. The combination of this weight on the lines themselves, as well as on the trees surrounding them, made the initial damage severe. Because the temperatures remained cold for the first several days, it also meant that the fallen debris froze together and was difficult to disentangle. In some instances, roads were impassable due to the frozen debris across it. The accumulation of ice on equipment also made it difficult for crews to access areas to restore power. In those instances, unless crews were able to find ways to speed up the thaw, they had to wait for the ice to melt. Before the storm even hit Michigan, it was already on the radar of Consumers Energy's in-house meteorologists, who works directly with the National Weather Service to provide regular updates on potential severe weather that could impact the grid. For this particular storm, Consumers Energy knew about a week ahead of time that not only would it be a significant event, but also that there would be multiple waves impacting different parts of the state. This knowledge allowed us to prepare well in advance of the most severe parts of the storm hitting, said Eric Wojciechowski, Consumer Energy's Director of Emergency Response. We had already located 2 mobile command units and thousands of workers up north by Saturday morning before the first wave hit up north. We began mobilizing additional crews as well as bringing in support crews from 4 other states very early in the process. Though it was not all at one time, given the multiple waves, the total number of outages we had due to the storm was just north of 390,000. Not only ice, but also tornadoes and high winds inflicted damage. The National Weather Service confirmed that 14 tornadoes touched down in various lower portions of the state that Sunday evening. Many locations saw gusts of wind up to 80 miles per hour, and in some places, 90 miles per hour were even registered. With high winds always comes damage, whether from lines snapping or trees falling on them. Of the 390,000 total outages, more than 260,000 occurred downstate. For example, a journeyman line worker from Consumer Energy's Battle Creek Service Center reported trees down from the high winds and tornado. At that point during the storm response, he said the line crews are working their hardest, trying to be safe while putting up lines, and they wouldn't stop until every customer was restored. Crews from Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio worked alongside in-state line workers to restore power. The mobilization of these crews, combined with the advanced preparation to place them and their supplies in the impacted areas, allowed the utility to work quickly in the aftermath of the storm. In total, about 800 crews were staged around the state. To house and feed this many line workers, Consumers Energy leveraged partnerships with organizations like Camp Grayling, which hosted more than 2,000 workers Friday evening and Saturday morning as they prepared for the arrival of the storm Saturday night. By setting up mobile command units, the utility had a centralized location for area crews and supplies to be directed, creating a more efficient flow of labor and resources as restorations occur. Once a team was done, they could quickly return to the mobile command unit and receive their next assignment, regain supplies, troubleshoot issues, and provide updates from the field. As some of the customers warmed up in special centers organized by local nonprofits and the Red Cross, Consumers Energy focused first on restoring critical infrastructure like hospitals and water treatment facilities, and then zoned in on restorations that would bring the most customers back online at a time. As the number of outages began to decline, the line crews narrowed their focus to the more difficult or complicated restorations. Throughout the storm restoration effort, the tree crews, line workers, and dispatchers were working above and beyond the call of duty. Crews were working in frigid temperatures in 16-hour shifts around the clock, Wojciechowski said. There's a popular photo that circulated from a source up north of one of our workers with his beard entirely frozen. As the weather continues to cause challenges nationwide, Consumers Energy is investing in its reliability roadmap, which outlines the investments the utility intends to make over the coming years in the grid. For example, the utility is planning to execute everything from increased tree trimming to infrastructure upgrades to piloting technologies like undergrounding to strengthen and prepare it to better withstand severe weather of all kinds. The unfortunate reality is that we know our climate is changing, and with it so are weather patterns, Wojciechowski said. We are seeing storms happen more frequently and with more severity, and while we cannot control the weather, we can control our response to it. Tanya Berry, Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer, said the number one job for Consumers Energy is to keep the lights on. Consistent with our commitment to improve service reliability, Consumers Energy has established new grid performance expectations that better direct the reality of what Mother Nature is sending our way, Berry said. We are sharing these customer service commitments for the first time, reinforcing our Count on Us promise to the nearly 2 million electric customers we have the privilege of serving. This article also included 3 sidebars. The first sidebar is titled Making a Stronger and Smarter Electrical System. Ameren focuses on reliability initiatives. Ameren, which serves customers both in Illinois and in Missouri, is focusing on ways to give its customers safe, reliable, and renewable electricity for the long term. The utility is also implementing storm hardening initiatives to boost power reliability. The following are a few ways the utility is working to prevent outages. Number 1, smart grid technology. Line workers are installing smart switches on overhead lines to quickly detect outages and reroute power to restore service, improving reliability by up to 40%. Number 2, composite poles. Line crews are strategically positioning composite poles, which are said to be stronger than wood poles, to harden the system against straight-line winds. Number 3, proactive undergrounding. By burying lines underground, the utility can reduce the number of storm-related outages to its customers and boost reliability. The second sidebar is titled Taking a Tech Approach to Storm Response in Washington State. Puget Sound Energy serves a community with dense vegetation, forested areas, and remote locations. When a storm hit, it was challenging for the utility to gain visibility of its de-energized lines. In mid-2024, right before the bomb cyclone hit its service territory, PSC started a pilot with Gridware to identify hazards and take a proactive approach to wildfire mitigation and outage detection. Case in point, due to the storm, power was lost to a circuit where Gridware Active Grid Response, or AGR, was deployed, but had not yet sustained damage. 50 minutes later, a large tree fell, causing significant damage. And then 10 minutes later, and a quarter-mile away, another tree went down. Rather than being notified about the tree strikes after the storm passed through its service territory, PSC was alerted in real time, allowing the utility to more quickly prioritize repairs and expedite restoration. The final sidebar is titled Building a Better Grid: How Consumers Energy is Strengthening its System Against Storms. To better prepare for severe weather, utilities are investing in grid modernization and resiliency plans nationwide. For example, in Michigan, Consumers Energy outlined its reliability roadmap to reduce the duration and frequency of outages impacting its nearly 2 million electric customers. The utility aims to one day not experience a single outage that affects more than 100,000 customers and restore all customers within 24 hours after an outage event. Here are a few highlights of the roadmap to strengthen Michigan's electric grid and improve reliability and resiliency. Infrastructure upgrades. The utility is making investments to replace or rebuild poles, better understand how to bury power lines in a cost-effective way, and organize circuits more efficiently. Forestry management. The plan increases spending on tree trimming to keep distribution lines clear and prevent and shorten outages. Grid modernization. A blend of smart meters, sensors, and automation devices will help Consumers Energy to monitor its system more effectively, improve power delivery, and solve problems more quickly. Resiliency. Line workers will soon install poles that can sustain winds more than 100 miles per hour without ice in the utility's service territory. If you're interested in learning more about storms, you could read this article online or check out our 2-part series on the Line Life podcast about Hurricane Helene 1 year later. If you and your line crew worked on a storm response and want to share your best practices with our T&D World subscribers and Line Life podcast listeners, please reach out to me, and I'd love to talk to you and help you share your story. You can email me at amyfishbach@gmail.com or message me on Lineman World or LinkedIn. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Line Life podcast produced by Endeavor Business Media, a division of Endeavor B2B. Be sure to subscribe or follow the Line Life podcast in your favorite podcasting app so new episodes will be delivered straight to you. For more insights, you can visit our website at tdworld.com/podcasts or linelife.podbean.com. You can also connect with us by following us on Instagram at Lineman World or on Facebook, LinkedIn, or X. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Line Life podcast.